When you constantly chase the next high, there's no time to feel depressed, right? Wrong. Pushing harder doesn't always mean you're moving forward. Sometimes it just means you're running from something. In 2020, I had everything people think leads to happiness. Success, a dream physique, a thriving business. But instead of feeling on top of the world, I had a burnout. Maybe you're feeling stuck, exhausted, or like no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough. So today I'm going to share my lessons with you. So having a bowl oats after this run, and I'm really feeling good right now, ready to attack the day. Even though this morning I was tired. Before a run, I'm never excited, but once you go and once you've done it, you feel so much better. It's the same thing with lifting, but I feel like running has this extra aspect to it. Also, you get this runner high. And so what's really important is like having this routine in your life. And this is something I was lacking when I wasn't feeling that good. And it's like a vicious circle, right? Because once you don't feel that great and you start lying on the couch watching Netflix, you also like order bad foods. You also really don't want to go to the gym anymore, so you start skipping a workout, and then your whole nutrition starts to be affected as well because you don't want to go to the grocery store anymore. And so now that we moved to Spain, this was kind of like one of the first priorities I set in my life over even all the business stuff and new plans I had. The main priority was, okay, Moran, you gotta take care of yourself because you know what happened in the past, and if you don't, you know what's gonna happen to your business, to your relationships, to all the other aspects of your life as well. So you got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of everybody else and all the other stuff in your life. And this has been super important. So my main goal has just been establish new routines. So this morning I woke up, had my outfit picked out yesterday, so I knew exactly what to wear, did my skincare routine. I wrote down my top 3 priorities of the day in my notebook. Then I went for the run and I had my oats afterwards right now. That's it. Great start of the day. And now just because I have these routines doesn't mean I have everything else figured out and structured. This is what the workplace looks like right now. It was perfectly fine 2 days ago. This is something that happens, and I used to feel really bad about this. I only figured out a couple years ago after this period of burnout that I have ADHD. And it made a lot of sense for me in my life. Now, I know it's a wildly misunderstood concept, and I'll get into this in a separate video, but for me, it just explained a lot. And it made me realize like, I gotta accept myself for who I am. And I think that's a lesson anyone can take away, is that very often we do things based on what other people are doing. So I would feel bad about, my room sometimes looking like this, even though I'm perfectly capable of working right now. I have no problem with that. Just like making my bed in the morning. I haven't done that ever in my life. And people will say like online, you gotta make your bed to be successful, or you gotta have a clean car. I've never had those things in my life. And so the point is not don't make your bed or don't clean your room, but listen up, we all have different personalities, right? Also like different personality colors. And then you start to realize like if I try to, act as if I'm one of these other colors, it's just deeply difficult. It's just very, very difficult, right? And it starts to really drag you down. And so whereas this very structured person has this perfect calendar where every hour is laid out, I tried that stuff, having this perfect calendar for the whole week on Google Calendar with all these colors. It looked really cool because I saw these other entrepreneurs doing it, right? But I was just not able to do it. So every week I would feel like, oh my God, like I'm just failing, and I would just feel really bad about it. And now I have a more intuitive approach to my calendar, for example, where I do plan like some meetings that I have. I do plan deep work in the morning so I don't get bothered. But the rest of the day is kind of like free, and I know what I'm gonna do that day, but I will feel in the morning like, hey, how am I feeling today? Just more intuitive approach because I'm a more creative person. But if you're a more number-driven person, that's not gonna work for you. Different things work for different people, and that's why I feel like it's so important to get to know yourself, and not just that, but to start to accept yourself. And that self-acceptance took a very long time for me. But once you do, you can live life according not to what other people expect of you or what you think you have to do, but you start to live life according to what truly serves your future self, the person you want to become. And for the longest time, I had this mindset that I had to handle everything by myself in my life. I was grinding, pushing through, and telling myself that needing help was a weakness. But the truth, that mindset led me straight to burnout. And I see this especially in men. We're conditioned to believe that we have to figure it all out on our own. Our career, our emotions, our relationships. If we feel lost, anxious, or stuck, we just try to man up and push through it. But here's the thing, when I was struggling, I didn't just need to work harder. I needed perspective. I needed someone to help me untangle all those thoughts I had trapped in my head. And maybe you experienced the same. Never feeling good enough, being a people pleaser, or having a hard time expressing your true emotions. Trust me, you're not going to get real answers by overanalyzing, running in circles, and trying to solve it all alone. And that's why I'm a big fan of therapy. And this is not often enough talked about amongst men, in my opinion. And nowadays, anyone can have access to it, wherever you live. And that's where today's paid partner, BetterHelp, comes in. Now, BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that connects you with a credentialed therapist who can help you work through your toughest questions. You don't have to keep guessing or overthinking. You can get real guidance from someone who is trained to help. And it's super easy to get started. You fill out a quick questionnaire, get matched with a therapist, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch anytime at no extra cost. Plus, they only work with credentialed professionals. So, if you've been trying to figure everything out alone, maybe it's time to stop fighting solo. Hit the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Marijn and get 10% off your first month. Now, I don't feel like cooking lunch, so what I'm gonna do instead is just get something from the freezer. These ones together with some veggies. Let's see what we have. Probably gonna have these. So the salmon is simple. It just goes in the air fryer for 15 minutes. And then I'll flip it halfway. And these veggies I'm gonna put in this Tupperware. I'm just gonna add a little bit of water to it. Not too much, just like a layer. Then I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm not gonna close it, all right? So I just put it on like this, and then it goes in the microwave for 8 minutes. Yeah, cooking healthy doesn't always have to be difficult or take a lot of time, and this is really one of those meals that I love. So back in the day, I would just focus on like my calories and the way that I look, but if you want to feel good, you have to really focus on your nutrition, to eat whole nutritious foods rather than, processed foods. And these days, it is harder than ever when you go to the grocery store. Even when you think something is just a pure food, there will be multiple ingredients in it. So you really have to be careful with what you eat. So when it comes to something like fish, I recommend wild caught salmon. When it comes to, beef, I recommend grass-fed beef. And there's just a lot of things you can do to optimize your nutrition, to like boost your testosterone levels, which salmon is a great food for, because it's really important to have enough fats in your diet. But then also the omega-3s, because they will help you with, also your brain function, but they've also proven to help with your mood. And an important thing here as well is having fermented foods into your diet. I haven't found the right ones here in Marbella yet. So things like sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, because those are really good for gut health. And that actually makes me think about something else I started doing, which is listening to my gut. And I think a lot of people are struggling with this now, and it's more difficult than ever because the world is more focused on material stuff, right? The world is way more focused on, what someone accomplishes, what car do you drive, how much money do you make. People just look at the external rather than the internal, and that's how you are judged, right? And so this leads to us making decisions that are smart, choosing this job that will make more money, because then other people will see you as being successful, right? Or like buying a bigger house to impress people, and buying a car or leasing a car to make it seem like you have more money than you actually have. And this is what a lot of people are doing now, the way they live life. And maybe this is a path that I almost went as well. I actually definitely did. And so with the business, it was all like, I need to have a bigger business with more employees. So I opened up an office and started hiring more people, and it started to become this bigger and bigger business. But I started to realize that was actually really not what I set out to do when I started my YouTube channel, when I started Student Aesthetics, my first online coaching business. I just really loved, like being a solopreneur at first, and I just loved the creative process of just doing stuff, being able to quickly make changes. And with a bigger team, those things are not possible. It comes with a lot more responsibility. You cannot go from day to day with like a different plan. You need to be more strategic. And a lot of the creative fun was gone for me. But I did have this bigger business that was generating more money, at least on paper. And when we look at the size of things and like what's measurable by people's eyes, such as a physical office, but I decided, I wanted to build this remote team, do something different, something that actually serves me and my life. And if I did not make that move, also of taking a step back in the business and, maybe having a bit less revenue, but at the end of the day, knowing that maybe in the future we'll make more profits. And, I was doing enough money that I was like, I can live very comfortably the way that I want. And I see it as a long-term game. But if I did not make that decision, we would not be able to buy a house here in Marbella, Spain. And I would still be there, in the Netherlands. And I felt stuck, living that life that I was living there. And that all came from listening to my intuition. And it told me to go here. Just like my intuition told me to start YouTube when I was 19 years old. just like when everybody else around me thought it was stupid and crazy. And I also kept asking myself, is this a smart thing to do? Or when I was 21, should I drop out of university to be an entrepreneur? Can I really do this? But my gut was telling me that I could and that I was gonna take the risk and I would be able to turn it into reality, and I did. And that's why I think the power of listening to your gut, of really trusting your intuition, is bigger than anything right now, because we live in a world where AI is going to be bigger than ever, and you don't want to be a robot. You want to stand out from the robots, and that's literally by listening to your intuition, because it's your superpower. And this next thing I've learned specifically in therapy is setting boundaries. This is something I used to be horrible at, and I think is one of the biggest reasons I went into the stage of burnout, because I simply said yes to everything and everyone. I had a hard time sort of like standing up for myself. I didn't want to disappoint people, so I was a real people pleaser. And also with my ADHD and with my personality, I just always wanted to kind of like chase the next thing as far as like business opportunities and shiny object syndrome. So if there was like this cool thing, I would be like, oh yeah, let's do it. While now I always, hold back a little bit, think about something before I say yes. And so you got to think about it like this. If you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And the opposite is true as well. If you start saying no to something, you can say yes to something else. So you can invite new things into your life, and you feel really guilty at first, but honestly, like setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And once you start doing it, people start testing it, but then they start to realize, oh, he set boundaries, and then they get a respect for you as well, And when you look at the most also like successful entrepreneurs, they all say no to most things, right? Because you just cannot do it all at the same time. And that just has to do with an energy issue. You don't have unlimited energy, and it's something I had to realize the hard way. And it's just like calories in, calories out, which I've been talking about for, the last decade. The same thing goes for your mental energy, right? You have a certain input and an output, and you cannot always perform at your best and give your all or always be working. And this is something that I was doing back in those days, where I would just put all my effort into that. And then once I didn't feel great, I would just be mad at myself and I would just continue to work, and I wouldn't properly recharge. And now I have these nights where I just lay on the couch. Like right now, I'm just gonna watch Netflix. I'm gonna, chill out, zone out, not think about all the stuff that's going on. And then tomorrow I'm gonna be fresh again to attack the day. And it's important to know when you actually need a rest. And this is something that comes from experience, but also from being realistic with yourself and setting these boundaries, not just for other people, but also for yourself. And it will not just lead to you feeling better, but also actually to you performing better, because we all have limited energy. So we need to protect it. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, I know it was different. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, I know it was a different topic than usual. Let me know in the comments down below, and then I'll make more of it. Subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.